everyone, this is I, Samuel Alexander, again with another poem titled Celebration from my novel and my fictional series, I See Things in Blue, the third installment titled Rayland. Um, this one actually does fit Rayland. Lo and behold, I found one that makes sense for her because this one's called Celebration and she is all about high energy. So, celebration is not a far stretch for her. It makes sense. And what is being celebrated is also all her, and it's also old Dario, except he would not go out of his way to celebrate it on the level that Rayland obviously would. And I have no idea where the name Raylan came from. Um, I would like to say that it came from Ray because I know someone who's shortened the shortened version of her name. I don't know what that was. It should have been a hiccup, but it was more me just catching my breath. And if you're listening and watching, I'm really not trying, so I don't know how I lost my breath in the first place. But here we are. Um, but yeah, his shortened version of her name is Ray. However, Raylan came before that, and the common nickname that we have, you know, for this real life human person came afterwards because it just made sense because in my brain, um, it wasn't a foreign concept to me. But I have zero idea where Raylan came from. You know, it's no clue. But that is what happened. But yeah, this fits her, which is really nice that I found a poem that actually fit the title of this um, novelette because it's really short, but it's not quite short enough to be a short story. Um, so yeah, I mean, not much more I can say about that. Um, there is a few things, but I'm just gonna save them for the end. So here we are with celebration. Let's celebrate. Let's sing. Let's rejoice. Come together in unity. Let our souls join in one accord. Together we lift up in what? What actually? Where does my happiness lie, and what do I rejoice other than life? Other than the chance to breathe again, family who loves you, and supporting friends, I accept all these things. I take none for granted for life. I am truly grateful and appreciative. But I'm tired. Tired of being happy for the same thing. Can no longer rejoice in just life itself. How many times can these things alone sustain me? So as I fail in finding something to celebrate, I realize one can only write from experience. Your words breathe life from the deepest chasms of your soul. Art is not directed by what we want. It can't be controlled and tamed to its maker's desire. The essence of art is that it is free. It is wild, happy, sad, deep, and humorous all at once or one at a time. Inspiration comes to the artist and shows them how it wishes to be molded. So I may not be able to write a word of celebration, but in this, I do find something worthy to celebrate. In, in expectance of art in its true and untamed form, in understanding of how art is created, birthed. Let's celebrate because art is not chained and free. Um, in expectance should definitely be in acceptance of art in its true and untamed form. Probably because expectance works. So I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to change that. But what I like about this is that it's definitely not a me poem. Because I don't know, I don't really like it. That is my honest response to the poem. It's something about art being unchained and free, and all of that. When as an artist, I've definitely faced bunches of restrictions, especially with poetry. In every single poetry group that I've joined online, there are these very rigid guidelines of how you can write, what you're writing, all of the competitions and things like that. Like, I always found it way worse than writing fiction. Fiction was a lot easier. You just put it in your category, and however you choose to express your fantasy or your romance or your mystery or whatever, as long as it actually fit under the umbrella of what you were trying to do, they were fine. And it was always button heads with poetry about what it actually is and how it should be. And so, even though I wrote something like this, again, like my writing, as I said before, it's about tapping into things that you can sink your teeth and emotions into. And in this case, I don't know, it just feels like something that I genuinely wouldn't say in the real world. But here it is in poetic form, and I wrote it, and I didn't write it way back in my teenage years and things like that when I was struggling to embrace my own voice. I was a full-fledged adult when I wrote this, definitely in my early 30s, and here we are. And that's a big part of why I very really read it. But it has a very specific place in this book because, as far as Raylan goes, she would definitely celebrate the idea of art. And as far as Dario goes, he finds himself through art. He ultimately becomes a music producer as the book ends because he's perfectly happy behind the scenes, even though he can't sing and obviously can write his own songs. If he does any of that, he's not going to promote it. Whatever money he gets from it is whatever he gets. He likes the creative part of art, and that's where he finds the most peace there. And so this makes a lot of sense for him as well, but doesn't make a lot of sense for me. That's debatable. I it's I don't know. It's always going through the motions. Every time I read it, I strongly consider not even leaving it in this book and just deleting it and being like, you know what, no. But you know, um, saner minds prevail, and it makes sense. And it's actually one of the ones that fits specifically because this is Raylan's novel, so it had to stay. Um, and that's pretty much my approach to art in general. If it is the right thing, and if it fits, and it's the best piece to do what I'm trying to do, it is going to stay, even if I absolutely hate it. I'm just not that kind of an artist. It's real easy for me, the same energy I give to deleting something that I love because it just doesn't work is the exact same energy I give to keeping something that I don't like because it works. Um, and I know a lot of people stress over that, like they have files with all the things that they delete when they're writing, talking about novels, and I do not. And I've said it already. If I delete it, it's gone. Even if I loved it, even if it's one of my favorite passages, and it survived multiple edits. I, I know 5 edits ago that it probably didn't work, and it's there because just in case I'm wrong, I'll just let it sit. But at some point, once you finally fine tune the book, you just have to embrace the fact that some things do not work, especially if it's something you like, and that some things, now that you've let the book or the poem breathe, that you really don't like and which you could absolutely delete, but you can't make the book work without it, are there to stay. And that's just the way it is. I don't know. I don't see sweating it or getting too emotionally involved in this type of decisions beneficial because I'm just trying to make the best piece that I can. And I'm getting emotionally involved in the project from page 1 to page 700. That's my everything. It's in the entire piece, not just this one paragraph that I really, really love, it's gone. And I'm going to remember it, and whatever I wrote may fit in some other, idea, but it's not going to fit in the new idea the same way it fit in the book that it was originally in. So it's it doesn't matter if I keep it or not, because I'm not going to rewrite it. I'm going to write a different version of it if it has a place somewhere else. So I still don't need it. But on the flip side, I needed this one. Bringing it back because I lost the path there for a few seconds. We got to really back in. But that's why this poem is here. And I'm actually genuinely excited to find one that fits Rayland so well, in my personal opinion. Um, but as the reader of the book, if you've gotten this far, you may find that my explanations for all of these poems don't fit why you think they're in the book, and I'm totally here for that. And some of them you might think, what, that was the stupidest choice he could have ever made. Like, why didn't he put this in book 5 instead of book 3? And that's totally valid. But this is what I've ended with, and it will hopefully stand the test of time, no matter what emotions people have from it. Um, but yeah, I'm glad that something in here doesn't need an around the way or out of the box attack to why it's in the book that it's in, because it obviously belongs there, and that makes me feel good. Um, so if you've made it this far, um, thanks for stopping by.